So good evening. It's 7:03, and I'd like to call a meeting of the Planning Board of the Town of Newbury for the day of April 22nd. My name is John Weiss. To my left is
George Morse.
Richard Moss.
John O'Connell.
Elizabeth Mitchell.
Martha Taylor.
So we do have today an appearance by Lisa Porter at 7:05. Are you Lisa? And then at 7:15, we have a public hearing on a reference from the Board of Selectmen to the Planning Board relative to solar PV installations. So with that, we will start with Lisa, and why don't you spend a minute or two just explaining what it is? I know that you've been to the ZBA and you've probably done all that, but it would be helpful because none of the board members here are aware of what I think we've heard through Martha, but if you could just spend a couple of minutes and explain.
Sure.
Thank you.
From here, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you
You know
have to
what?
go to
It's-
the-
Here's the awful part.
Sorry.
You have to go, although, you know what? If you can pull up a chair, we'll let you sit right here.
All right, I like
And
that.
John and I will share this.
That's okay, I've got one here, John. We got more than we
All
have
right,
people.
sound good?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Well, my name is Lisa Porter, and I would like to formally submit my application to run a small doggy daycare kennel out of my home on 48 Old Raleigh Road. I have a small horse farm there now, a barn with 3 horses, and a little over an acre of land right on the marsh, right by the green belt. So it's and got a nice spot for them. The kennel license would be for just up to 10 dogs. Obviously my neighbors have been notified through the certified mail, but also I do have attached to my applications some letters that are signed by my neighbors showing their support.
Oh, that's important. That's important.
It's my home, so obviously I want to have a nice, calm, quiet type of organization running there. So I've put together a little package for you with a Google map, the application, of course, the denial that I needed to get through Sam Jocelyn, Google Maps of the property, some images of the actual property itself, a letter from Carol LaRoque, the animal
Carol.
control who's been over to inspect the property, and a couple of letters from my neighbors I have copies of, and I
Good.
have a couple more to add.
Well, I think that's important. Do you have all of these?
I have all of it except for the letters from the neighbors.
From the
Oh, so
neighbors.
that's
Those are new.
important.
Right,
Yeah.
So
yep, those are new, so.
leave them with Martha.
Yep, they're
and she can
attached to
copy
these
them
9
and-
copies.
and then distribute them to us. And in terms of the public hearing is already set for May
Yes,
6th, is that correct?
Yes, it's set for May 6th at 8:00 PM. It's already been advertised. The first notice was in the paper yesterday. And because Lisa was actually kind of guided down an incorrect path to begin with, so we're
Right,
trying to.
I understand that. Does everybody else understand what's
Yes.
happened here?
Lisa, I had a question, because you
Sure.
mentioned doggy daycare, but it's overnight care too, right?
It is overnight care also, yes.
Good.
Yeah, 24-hour. And so, basically, I think we're looking at 2 waivers. One is because of the process was a little confused to waive any application fee. And the second, Lisa's asking for a waiver on the site plan requirements in the special permit application because she's not actually constructing anything. So she's included a narrative. She does have the Google Earth, so showing what the facility looks like. But there's nothing that's actually being built that would require.
So the
permits.
question I would have, if you had anything that was any existing map, would be something that showed, because I drove by and I see where the horses are.
I think I saw you.
I think, and I see where the horses are,
Uh-huh.
but I wasn't sure where the dogs were, or would go. And so
So-
anything that had on a map,
That's in there, the Google Earth.
That's in there?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
an annotated
Good.
Google Earth aerial photo.
Yes.
do we have like an operation and maintenance plan as part of
There's
that?
a narrative,
There's a narrative?
yeah.
Okay, so we will take a look at all of that. Anything else we need to do?
No, and some board members have expressed interest also in driving by, or maybe, you know, just kind of
Absolutely.
taking a look. Is that
Absolutely.
okay?
Sure, of course.
And can they come on the property and take a look? Is that?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
I didn't do that.
May.
That's okay. I saw you. I was in my black truck. I was actually picking up one of my neighbor's dogs.
How far away is your nearest neighbor?
I don't know, about 150 feet, maybe?
Okay, I thought
I'm
there
trying
were
to think,
more.
because Dave Burns is probably my closest, but
Yeah.
there's a lot in between us. So I believe that a lot has to have 75-foot frontage.
125.
You have 125.
That's a lot of old lots
Yeah,
there.
I didn't know whether I should get out and
There's
take a
3 or
look.
4 houses that are within earshot.
Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah.
As, you know, and so I think the neighbors' letters are very important.
Yes, which,
Very
which,
important.
which I'm working on, yeah.
Okay.
And basically, some of the closest neighbors, Don DeLore, and then there's another lot there. They're off
Right.
of Hawkhaven Way, which was a small 2-lot subdivision that
Subdivision
we
that we
approved
did
a few
some
years
time
ago.
ago, right?
Yeah.
And then, so Hawkhaven Way actually goes up alongside Lisa's property.
Okay.
Right, right. And one of the letters in here is one of those neighbors, and then the other one just hasn't signed his and
Okay.
gotten it over to me yet. And then Dave Burns already signed a letter, and attach that.
Do you have any relationship with the vet? Let's say something happened to one of the dogs.
I actually have kind of went about this in the backwoods. When I originally started the business 2 years ago, it was for horse care.
Horse?
Because I'm a horse owner. And then as I was taking care of other people's horses locally, I kept getting their dogs. And, being a dog owner and so forth myself. So I've done, taken first aid classes for dogs, animal training classes. I'm fully insured for care, custody, and control, and have been for a couple of years. And,
Is a license for that?
well, it's an insurance, basically. And of course, I have relationships with local vets, just from being an animal person all these years.
Sure.
Well, I would think the request to waive the fee, or the suggestion of waiving the fee, is a total no-brainer. If the poor lady got jerked around the way she did, I think we'd have quite a nerve asking her for a filing fee for the site plan review. I mean, for the SPG.
Other members?
No, I'm good.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're okay with that? We need to take a vote on that?
Yeah, so what I would suggest is making a motion to accept the application and to waive the application fee and also waive the actual site plan requirements.
Very good, so move.
Okay, since you've just articulated that,
It's
it
just
has
been
been
moved.
moved and seconded. Any comment on it at all? All those in favor?
Aye,
You're done.
Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
And we'll see you on the
The
6th.
system was
Okay.
not set up for your kind of an operation. It was set up for something
It
somewhat
would-
more
Right.
It
complexity.
wouldn't hurt to have some of your neighbors here. I'm just,
Yeah, I don't know if that'll happen this, not
just-
really. But I'll definitely get
get what,
letters and statements. I mean, so far, their statements are, one sentence type things. Maybe I'll ask the other guys to be a little bit more elaborate.
see what you can do.
Yeah, all right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Right.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have 7:15, no, it's 7:10. So let's,
Do you want to do minutes?
Yes.
yes, let's go back and do the minutes. The 24th, that really was George's meeting with
Yes.
you all. So do I have a motion on those?
I move to accept the February 24th, 2015 minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And the March 4th minute meetings? Any
change?
questions on those at all?
No, and I move that we accept the March 4th, 2015 minutes.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Well, we do have 3 minutes, and in those, I think I can give an update on Caldwell Martha and I met with the HOA members last Wednesday, I think,
The 14th. Yeah.
14th. Well, I forget.
Yeah.
Last week.
It's 14th.
It was a Tuesday. And we reviewed the original plan that we had. We reviewed their request to take a look at property at Triton. I think we all agreed that the original location for a parking facility off of Elm Street made the most sense, near the fire hydrant. But we had a cordial discussion, but at the end of it, we were given a document which was put together by a number of Caldwell residents, which has some questions regarding the relationship of a number of the documents the town has signed, and which Berry had signed, relative to the trail easements, to the master deeds, to the OSRD itself. And so we have forwarded that to Ginny Kramer, who's our town council, and we expect her to have an opinion on that sometime in the next 2 weeks. And aside from that, Martha, do you want to add anything to that at all?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it. I don't think there's anything else that we could add to that. So that's it. Any comments or questions about what's going on there from anyone? Okay, with that, does Alicia want us to get her?
I
Or-
don't know, she's
or
in
she
the,
just-
she's in the media committee meeting.
She indicated that she'd be back at 7:15.
Why don't we,
Probably wait,
okay, since I have 7:15, but we can wait, and why don't we,
just postpone the hearing until 7:30 and,
well,
Well,
all right, can we do
since
that?
there's no one here except for Carl.
I don't even.
And television, but I think we can wait a couple of minutes, and when she gets back, we'll just start it. Does that make sense to everybody?
yeah, if she's not here in 5 minutes, I'll go
Well,
and get her.
Or we'll do it. So why don't we go to liaison reports and start with the Board of Selectmen? Anything?
Let's see, trying to think now. They'll be signing the warrant for the annual town meeting this coming Tuesday, the 28th. So, following our public hearing tonight, the board will need to take a vote and make a recommendation to send back to the selectmen regarding the zoning change. Not really selectmen, but the information session on the ballot questions is going to be held here on May 7th at 7 o'clock, I think, 7 PM.
Is that fourth, fifth, Thursday?
It's a Thursday, yeah.
Okay. On MVPC, it was last week on Thursday, there was an article in the Globe. No, there was an article in the Daily News, the Newburyport paper, that projected population declines for all of the towns in the Merrimack Valley area. And for us, it was a decline from 6,600 to 5,600, which is a significant amount. And for Newburyport, it was a decline of from 17,000, I think, to 16,500. And Amesbury from whatever their number is, by again, about another 1,000.
What period, John?
To 2035. And so George sent me a note, and I had looked at it, and I said, I'm going to be at MVPC tonight, and I'll raise it. And in the meantime, I had realized that I went back to their growth report and their economic development report that was just finalized last year. And in MVPC's projections, they are projecting a increase for Newbury from 6,600 to 8,600. So the differential between what the paper was reporting, which came out of the Donahue Institute at UMass, and ours was 3,000 population, or a differential of minus 45%.
That's correct.
So I raised this to them, and they were all very concerned. Tony, I always forget Tony's last name, but you know, the
Come on,
transportation.
Tony
director.
Fennery?
said that they do a whole different set of criteria when they're doing their projections, and that they would be contacting the Donahue Institute and see what can be done. But everybody thought, who was at the table, thought it was an important issue, although perhaps we thought it was more important than others. But ours wasn't even the greatest decline. Ours was a decline of 15%. Hamilton, which is outside of the planning region, was projected to decline by 32%.
Wow.
So that's significant.
Did they give any reasons for that?
Well, in its most simplistic form, we're putting off starting this because we were waiting for you to get back in, but, okay. The Donahue Institute report took a straight line projection of demographic changes. And so it took all of us, the baby boomer and older, and simply extrapolated out where we were going in the next 35 years, which we know.
Yeah, I'm certain there's a cemetery.
I guess we
in my
get an
district
idea where that is.
Before very long.
And then they took out the replacement population and made projections, and then they looked at the demographics and the number of children being born and the immigration calculations. The only cities that were gaining population were those that had immigrants, and those were Methuen, Haverhill, and Lawrence,
Right.
as you would expect. But they didn't take into account what was the population saturation of a town, what kind of replacement housing was being built, and what kind of growth could come from there. And so that's the major discrepancy in terms of how you do population projections. So, but it's out there in two very, very separate things. And MVPC, it's important for them because they need the numbers for their transportation financing that they're trying to do for all of the projects around here. So with that, I will stop on the liaison reports and we'll get to a short presentation.
Here's the public hearing.
Oh, and you,
Does George read
Richard,
this?
Richard.
No, Richard does.
Oh, Richard, oh,
needs to
okay.
read.
Let me give that mic right back to you, Richard.
All right, gotta get my glasses on otherwise. Okay, now, residents of the town of Newbury and other interested persons, please note that on Wednesday, April 22nd at 7:15 at the Newbury Town Hall, 25 High Road, Newbury, Massachusetts, the Newbury Planning Board, in accordance with the provisions of MGL Chapter 40A, Section 5, will hold a public hearing to consider proposed amendments to the Code of the Town of Newbury, Chapter 97, zoning, para 97-5.f. ground-mounted solar photovoltaic installations to change the designated special permit granting authority for ground-mounted solar photovoltaic installations occupying 2 acres of land or more from the Board of Selectmen to the Planning Board. The text of these proposed amendments is on file with the town clerk and in the planning office, 25 High Road, Newbury, Mass., and may be inspected there during normal business hours. For more information, contact the Planning Board office at 978-465-0862, extension 312. All persons interested or wishing to be heard relative to the proposed zoning amendments should appear at that time and place designated above. John Weiss, Chair.
Thanks, Richard.
Okay.
So I will go through this for all of us and for the television audience, and try to give some background as to how we got to this point, and then what is the change that's really being asked for. Uh-oh. It did this last week. Okay.
Can you hit the,
See those arrows to the lower
Right
left
down
there,
in the
John?
lower left,
Yeah,
John.
I'm gonna go there.
There we go.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
All right. So here's the agenda. We're going to give you a background of the development of the Newbury's solar photovoltaic bylaw. It moved. Overview of bylaw provisions and proposed change is. So it's supposed to be. Yeah, there you go. So now it's got it. Background development of Newbury. So we really began in nearly 3 years ago. Planning Board and the town planner were part of a subcommittee that worked to develop the solar bylaw and to provide reasonable regulations for the use. There were some proposals being made at the time, and there were really no guidelines as to how the town should approach it. So Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 3, says that no zoning ordinance, and I'm sorry, I am going to read this, the other stuff I won't read that much, but no zoning ordinance or bylaw shall prohibit or unreasonably regulate the installation of solar energy systems or the building of structures that facilitate the collection of solar energy except where necessary to protect the public health, safety, or welfare, which is typically a catch-all phrase for zoning. So the resources that the board used meaning the planning board, when we wrote this ordinance, was that we had a model as-of-right bylaw, which was issued by the Department of Energy Resources in the Massachusetts Executive Office of Environmental Affairs in March of 2012. We also had solar photovoltaic guidelines and guides from Questions and Answers that were published in December of 2012 by the Massachusetts Department of Energy Resources, the Mass Department of Environmental Protection, the Mass Clean Energy Committee. And we also looked at a number of bylaws that had already been adopted by other communities. And so the ground-mounted solar installations bylaw was adopted at our May 2013 annual town meeting and amended at October 2013 special town meeting. So here's just an overview of what we are trying to accomplish with the bylaw: to provide a permitting process for ground-mounted solar photovoltaic installations and standards for placement, design, construction, operation, monitoring, modification, and removal of such installations. The permitting is in 3 sections the way it's written right now. The installations of 1/4 an acre or smaller are by right, and all the applicant need do is go into the building commissioner and they can get a permit. Those installations that are between 1/4 acre and 2 acres are subject to site plan review by the planning board, us, and issuance by the building permit by the building commissioner. Then installations of 2 acres or more require a special permit from the Board of Selectmen. The bylaw contains provisions for submission these are just the procedures: review criteria, O&Ms, dimensional requirements, design standards, safety standards, monitoring, decommissioning, and financial surety, which is, when you get to this decommissioning thing, one of the things we don't know is really what happens when one of these facilities is decommissioned. And so we do require a guarantee, a financial guarantee, be placed with the town in order to take care of that if in fact it's not decommissioned properly. So we say changes here, although it's only one change, it happens in several places, and so we're referring those 3 places that would happen. So the change is proposed by the Board of Selectmen to establish the Planning Board as the special permit granting authority for ground-mounted solar PV installations occupying 2 or more acres of land instead of the Selectmen. So this is the added, I'm not going to read that, but you get the gist. At a duly posted Board of Selectmen meeting, the Selectmen voted to remand this to the Planning Board for a public hearing. And so here are these changes that would need to be done to the existing document. And so for example, up here, it's simply in that special permit citing, just strike out Board of Selectmen and add Planning Board. In the special permit granting authority, strike out Board of Selectmen, add Planning Board, and down here, in the change of the words of Board of Selectmen to Planning Board again. Okay. So the rationale for this that was put forward by the Selectmen is that for a 5-person board, the special permit in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, special permit approval requires a supermajority rather than a simple majority. That is, 4 out of the 5 members must vote to approve it. Most Mass General laws and Newbury's zoning bylaw authorize the planning board to have an associate member for exactly that purpose, because special permits should be done by planning boards. And so that's why they give us this idea of having an associate member. And in Massachusetts, the majority of communities with solar PV installation bylaws designate the planning board as a special permit granting authority. No other changes are suggested to the bylaw. And so that is where we sit. So there's comments and questions. And I open this up first to members of the board and then members of the public.
John, I would have a question.
Yeah.
I know that the Board of Selectmen has been working with Borrega on the installation at 135, 136 Main Street,
Right.
and they're going to continue to do so. It would be good to have something where there's a clear delineation of what existing projects or concerns or what things have been done that will remain with the Board of Selectmen, and presumably everything else would come to us.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Martha, but what I know of this is the Borrego application stays with the Board of Selectmen and does not come to the planning board. And the timing of that, to me, is not, is it May? Is their next hearing?
May 26th.
Yes.
May 26th.
The election.
That will be after the election and after town meeting.
Correct.
So, if town meeting decides that this authority should move from the selectmen to the planning board, for all future items brought before the town, the planning board would be responsible. If the, excuse me, if town meeting decides not to vote in favor of the planning board, then the selectmen would still have that authority.
Okay, because I know that there are some other projects that are on some basis. There's been some interest and some investigation done by the Board of Selectmen, and I just don't know. If it's gonna remain with them, then that's fine. If it's not, then I might take more of an interest in it.
Okay. Any other comments, Elizabeth?
I'm not sure I quite got Richard's comment.
The
I'm
last
sorry.
one?
Yeah, could you go back over the last couple?
Yes, I understand that it will remain, if this goes through, with the Board of Selectmen, that is.
That's my understanding, too.
Okay,
yeah.
but I do know that there have been some investigations, I've been with Martha on one of them, that involved a member of the Board of Selectmen. And also that there's been some interest that, in, for instance, putting solar voltaic systems in other areas. Now, I don't know how official this has been, maybe it's been done just as a matter of interest, or if there's been anything formal that's been presented, or any work that's been done by the Board of Selectmen. And I don't know whether that would remain with them, or that will become our province.
Well, I
Do you
think,
know, Martha?
yeah, I think that, so far, the discussions with other companies for other sites have been preliminary discussions, nothing's been submitted. If an application were to be submitted tomorrow, it would still stay with the Board of Selectmen because they are the SPGA. If this is adopted at town meeting, then it would become official. Anything that came after May 19th, the town meeting date, would come to the planning board unless for some reason the Attorney General didn't approve it. But anything in the meantime would come to the planning board.
So as it stands now, the 135, 136 Main Street is the only one that will stay with the Board of Selectmen, is that correct?
Well, it's the only,
That's correct.
it's
That's
the only
active-
official
Okay.
active,
Only one before the town.
only one before the town. There are, the others are ideas.
Right.
And it doesn't
inquiries and
mean-
discussions.
Yeah,
That's-
it doesn't mean that if a active selectman has an interest in a particular project, that they can't work with the planning board if that switch is made.
Gotcha.
We just happen to be the voting agent, but doesn't mean that someone can't work with us on those things.
Good, okay.
Okay.
John, I just want to add that when the solar bylaw was first prepared, the planning board was a designated special permit authority. And that was changed when reviewed by the then Board of Selectmen to the Board of Selectmen as the SPGA. So, why? I don't know.
I really don't. I mean, I think we had a large number of, this is the end of 2012, I think, is when it occurred, when we had this discussion, or maybe early 2013. And we had a number of things before the board. We sat down for a period of maybe 3 hours one evening and went over substantial changes to the zoning code in terms of creating this chart. What do you call it? It's not a chart. What is it?
Table of use.
Table of uses, which took us almost a year and a half to do, and we labored on that, went through that. Then we went through the zoning for the ZBA, excuse me, for the bylaw for solar. And at the end, here's the way we think this is gonna come out, and we have, the planning board is in, and it was just voted, and we just said, fine. I mean, it was the desire of the chair at that time, that's what happened, so. So, any other board members want to make a comment about this at this point in time? So would you like to say something? And you need to give your name.
I'm Alicia Greco. I reside at 3 Courtney Drive. I just want to speak in favor of moving the special permit granting authority for the special permits for large mounted solar photovoltaic installations from the Board of Selectmen to the Planning Board. Because I believe that the Planning Board is better suited for many different reasons. One is because of the board, the makeup of the board, the purview that you understand zoning laws better, and I don't believe that there's a conflict of interest that sits with the Planning Board. I believe that the Board of Selectmen, it's a conflict of interest, because, quite frankly, nobody calls the Planning Board saying, what are you gonna do to lower my taxes? They do call the Board of Selectmen and ask them that kind of question. And it's difficult to be able to take your hat off as an overseer of the town's coffers, so to speak, and put on your hat where that doesn't pay any precedence to that. And it's a difficult task, and I think anything we can do to make it easier for the board, I'm all for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So you'll need to guide me through exactly what we need to do tonight, Martha?
So what the board needs to do tonight basically is to, vote to recommend this change to the selectmen for inclusion on the warrant for town meeting.
Okay. Do you want to phrase that?
Yeah, I move that the article be prepared for transmittal to the selectmen for the town warrant to make the changes to as necessary to the solar voltaic array bylaw, to change the special permit granting authority from the Board of Selectmen to the Planning Board.
I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you, everybody.
So I will submit a written version of that motion and vote to the selectmen tomorrow, so it should be on the warrant next Tuesday when they sign it.
Good, thank you. Thanks. So I think that, let's finish with the liaison reports.
Let's close the public hearing.
Ah. Did we officially open it?
You did.
I'd say yes, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we read that.
That was the opening. We didn't
Thank
go.
God you're here. So I take a motion to close the public hearing on the photovoltaic.
So moved.
All those in favor? Second?
Aye. Yeah. Jumped.
Thank you. Closed.
I didn't have time to make a note.
No. Okay, let's get back then to the liaison reports. MVPC, nothing really much more to add, except for they know they've got a problem, because they've got two documents out that are contradicted by a major study that's just come out, and they have to resolve it. And of course, when we move forward with the master plan, it will be obviously one of the first items of work, is to reconcile that and make sure that we have the right numbers. Because if you're dealing with a projection of 5,600 versus 8,600, it has enormous implications. Enormous. I mean, these aren't big numbers like for big cities, but they're a huge discrepancy for a town of this size.
It is, I agree.
So anyway, Concom?
Yeah, we voted last night to hold a public hearing in June for the stormwater rules and regulations.
Oh, good.
Good job.
It's a little awkward because the language of the enabling language of the subdivision rules and regulations haven't been changed, obviously, they're not in the books. However, I don't see that as, I think we just tell them, this is the way it is. I don't think that anybody's gonna be challenging us on that particular issue. I didn't want to wait any longer because among other issues, the most important is that the smart money today says that the 100-year storm 24-hour rainfall intensity is about 50% higher than what DEP says it is. And we're, at the present, yeah. 50%. Well, you know, who knows what goes through their minds. They have not caught up to date. They're using a rainfall intensity document, TP40 so-called, that was put out by the Weather Bureau. Now, we haven't, you know when they stopped calling the Weather Bureau the Weather Bureau. You know, it's just absolutely absurd. Our rules and regulations do require, the new ones will be Cornell is under contract with NOAA to continuously update this. And we gave everybody a website to go hit, and they can use whatever numbers are current that are put out by Cornell. And so that's going to happen. I don't think there's going to be any problem with us not having the subdivision. I'm not going to stop pushing for the subdivision rules and regulations. They really need to be fixed.
Where are we?
Well, see, everybody gives Martha things to do. It's not like she is dragging the chain. It's
No, I
not her
understand
fault.
that. And we've had a lot of public hearings, and we've had a lot of things like that happening, and this is just something that's been hanging out there. I think that, well, why don't we chat about it
Okay.
later?
Well, I got up on my soapbox just about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've only got one more year to go, so I'm gonna get more and more vociferous as time goes on.
Good. Do you have anything else from the Concom?
Yeah, I do. Well, not the Concom, just if anybody's interested, wanna do sea level rise and where that's going at
Yeah.
the moment, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think the last time we met, I said that the Ipswich River Watershed Council had come alive and we're trying to start something. We have to come up with 6 people, and Newburyport does, and Salisbury does, to meet as a group. Now, there'll be only 3 meetings formally, which is a little scary because you can't do something this important anywhere in the world in 3 meetings. So we gotta wait and see how that plays out. I'm concerned about it, but at this point, I'm not objecting, I'm just,
So the procedure is they pulled together a total of 18 people.
yes, with a couple of other, there's a Plum Island rep, but in round figures, 18, yeah.
And with that 18, prepare what? What do they prepare?
I honestly don't know what it's gonna look like. We're gonna have a meeting anytime now, and rather than be a pain in the neck, more of a pain in the neck than necessary, I'm just gonna let it play out
Have the
until
meeting.
the first meeting.
So does Tracy appoint the 6?
No, I kinda put together the people that I thought it should be. The selectmen will appoint the 6. I gave my suggestion to Jeff, he was okay with it. Tracy is okay with it. As I think I said, when they asked me who should be the contact person, I said Jeff, of course, because he's
I think Jeff should be.
he should be, yeah.
Absolutely.
And when they asked Jeff, Jeff said, call John. So, it isn't exactly a top management position, it's
No, but he's,
a do work position.
but he can get.
Well,
he
you can
should be
state
good.
your position, John, to the selectmen.
I will,
I don't care.
maybe I'll talk to Jeff.
I don't care. Anyway, I'm appearing before the selectmen a week from now to ask them to appoint us as such. So,
Well, it's funny, when we went to that event, that was down at Woodman's.
it was in November, yeah.
I mean,
I believe.
I got the sense that A, it would start sooner, and B, there was a little more to it. Do you know what I mean? I just thought there was
What do you mean?
a little more to it that, in terms of what they were gonna be doing, and I just.
Oh, there's a lot to it. I mean, there has to be a lot to it. I just don't know what that lot is.
Who does the work?
That, the Ipswich River Watershed Council are going to be doing the work.
Okay.
The plan, the original plan, the Department of the Interior, as I understand it, contracted with the National Wildlife Federation, as do many government agencies. They have a real great rep as nonprofits go for doing serious grown-up studies. However, now the on-site work is kind of wound down, the marsh work, the critters have been taken care of for planning purposes. Now we're down to the 6 municipalities, and the Wildlife Federation, the guy that we met, Chris Hilke, is based up in Vermont, and it seemed more practical, I guess, to them to have a local agency do it. And Ipswich River Watershed Council has, are they association? The council? I think they're association.
I think they're association.
They have credibility. They have a good-sized staff. They have a huge watershed. Then that part makes sense. So their staff, as I understand it, will primarily be doing the bulk of the work.
Oh, okay.
Now, the money that I was hearing originally that was allocated to this isn't for us, it's for them, okay? There is some money to deal with what they call barriers. And barriers basically are bridges that are too small, that back water up, okay? And we have 3 that are going to do grievous bodily harm to the Newburyport Industrial Park. So regardless of this, we gotta sort this out with Newburyport, and I have been talking at some length with Julie Godfredson, who's their person. They have a committee, last I heard, the mayor hadn't said grace on it, but it struck me as being a pretty good group, a pretty savvy committee. Since we can only have 6, and there's probably about a dozen people that need input, or the town needs their input, I'm kind of seeing the 6 going to the meetings, and then, you know, we meet with the other 6 on a regular basis to put the thing together. For example, of the 6 that we don't have room for the public safety guys. Well, for heaven's sakes, we gotta have those input from those people. That's extremely important.
Yeah, I mean, for Plum Island, for the
Well,
whole
for any-
town,
yeah.
but in particular for
There's
Plum
several
Island.
other areas that are equally vulnerable. Plum Island is, of course, the biggest population.
Do you have a sense for when they think this work will be done?
Yeah, there is a schedule, and it's pretty much the end of 1916. It's 18 months, possibly 20. It's a month late starting, and you know how these things go. It probably will kill 2 years.
Well, that's good.
But
So that's a
that's
big
not
chunk of
I
work.
don't think that's a bad thing. I think take the time to think it out properly.
Well, it also says that they're really going to be committed to a process. And
Oh, yeah,
so,
yeah.
So, okay. So I'll
I think
keep
we
us-
get credibility out of this,
okay.
certainly.
Keep us apprised. Is anybody involved from MVPC,
No,
like Peter?
other than his contacts with Jeff, because he and they work hand in glove together. And Jeff and Peter finish each other's sentences
I know.
virtually.
It's good.
I have 2 other Concom things, if I may.
Yes.
The Concom's second hearing on the Triton Track and Field redevelopment took place last night. Sean Boyd was there and has updated the stormwater report, the drawings, did the response, which you've seen, to Joe's letter. I emailed it out to everybody, I think, yesterday or Monday. If you don't have it, let me know and I'll resend it.
I didn't get that. Is that possible?
I don't know.
I don't recollect it.
I don't
Okay, I'm
recollect
pretty
it.
sure,
I got it, so.
okay.
Yeah, you just send it to Richard.
And Elizabeth. They continued, they're waiting for Joe's comments, his response to Gale Associates' response. Joe's gonna pick up his package tomorrow morning. And they continued their public hearing to their May meeting, which will be after our continuation of the public hearing. Their May meeting is May 13th.
Yeah, it's
It's the day after the
the
election.
day after the election, right?
Right.
Okay.
And the other thing that was on the agenda last night was the first session of a hearing regarding Phase 2 of the Clipper City Rail Trail, which terminates at Parker Street. So there's about 500 feet of the rail trail in Newbury. The biggest concerns that were raised were by an abutter, Kathy Murphy, who lives right there, and she's very worried about the stormwater management design, and also, issues pertaining to parking. She had flooding issues in December when we had those heavy rains, and she's worried about stormwater flooding her basement again. So that also was continued.
There will be a site visit
And there will be a site visit.
next week sometime. I can't remember.
Yeah, I
when.
don't remember
Where
when
is
that
the,
was.
it
It ends, comes
I
along
know-
the
I
National
understand
Grid
Parker.
corridor. Right, and there's, next to the cemetery, just to the
Yep.
east of the cemetery, there's the National Grid right-of-way that comes out. There's a yellow metal gate there.
Right.
And that's where it terminates. Phase 2
Oh,
terminates.
this is, that not the existing Clipper City Rail Trail, this is
Oh,
the
no,
other one?
This is Phase
one.
2, Phase
Further,
2,
more of the program.
right. It'll be
Got it,
sort of
got it.
another third of
Got
the
it.
loop,
Got it. And that's mostly Newbury.
mostly Newburyport.
Yeah. Oh, but. oh, it
500
is?
feet of Newbury.
Yeah, okay.
Ish.
All right, so, I got it.
So that was just kind of an
Yeah,
FYI.
Thanks. Any comments on that?
No.
ZBA?
Nothing.
Nada?
Activity.
Okay. So then let's just go back up and look at the CPTC conference report. We were in the middle of that last time,
Right, and
and,
I need to get my notes if I'm gonna remember. The other thing we have is the,
oh, well, why don't we do that? Can we go off of agenda and, so these are the documents. In anticipation, we've gotten comments from most of you on the RFP for the master plan. And so these are two documents that are,
Pass these off,
Yeah.
keep passing them down.
the first document is something we hope to have as a flyer, probably in the library. We're not exactly sure where else here. It would be here. And it's, trying to at least get someone's attention to the town of Newbury wants you. I think that we'd like I'm not sure if you can give it to us tonight, but if, take it home with you and see if there's anything in here you'd like to see changed or what, but we think this is not a bad opportunity. And then the second is, if you remember, Elizabeth had a discussion with Brian Forget. Is that his?
Forget, I think.
I think it's Forget, actually.
Forget?
It
Really?
is?
Oh, okay.
I like Forget. No, Forget. But it's
Okay.
not Forget.
It's not Forget, no.
And so this is what our attempt at this, Elizabeth. And so if anybody has any comments on this, again, get them to Martha by really tomorrow. If not, we'll go with this, because we think it pretty well covers an awful lot. And this is the document that he would send, we think, in an email blast to Newburyport, all schools?
Newbury
Newbury.
residents.
Newbury residents.
And we could also, I think, put this in the Daily News as a, little press release
We
that we're
could
looking
use
for
this as a press release for the, so it's basically try to, in as short a period of time, to get it out, to, as John said, the demographic that we sorely need, which are this, the parents of school-aged children. And, and hopefully it works. So, any comments, get them to Martha, and it looks like the RFP and these will go out Thursday or Monday.
Excellent.
Okay?
And we're asking for proposals when?
It'll be about 5 weeks after we issue.
5 weeks?
Yeah.
Is that reasonable?
Yeah.
I think
that's
it is,
reasonable.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause
too
most of-
long, and they're just gonna wait.
They're gonna forget about it. Because a
and,
lot of it is format, what do you
A
call it?
lot of it they've already got on the
Bo-
word
Excuse me,
processor.
Right.
boilerplate.
Right.
They've got it on things. So we do appreciate, it took a little longer, but Ginny gave us some very good advice on tightening this thing up to protect us, for making sure that we are asking for the right thing and are covered by legal implications. So So that's that. So maybe we want to skip on the CPTC for a while, and then maybe we'll end with the May meeting schedule. And in here, just remind me again what we wanted to do.
Well, we had two issues. One is I am probably going to be moving around the third week of May, as my house is under agreement.
Oh, good. Not good that
thank
you're
you.
moving. Congratulations.
So I'll be needing to take some time off. Our second May meeting was scheduled for the 20th. My closing is the 21st, so it might not work out too well for me. And then John is going to be away on the beginning of June.
First
the
week of
first meeting
June.
in June. So we were thinking perhaps to combine the two of those into a meeting at the end of May on the 27th.
So
it'd
if you
be
could
the
check
last.
your schedules and see if that works.
It's already on my calendar.
It's
so I
already on your
move it.
calendar. Elizabeth? Does that work for you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I
Richard?
don't see any
As far as I
problem.
know, yeah.
Okay, then why don't we do that? So it'll be moved to May the 27th, and we'll combine both of those. Thank
we
you for
should
that. Appreciate it.
Probably take a vote.
That's what I was gonna do. But George has to make the motion.
I move the planning board meeting for, what is it, May 21st?
May
May
20,
May 21 and
May 21
June,
and June.
May 20 and June 3rd.
May 20 and June 3rd.
and June 3rd be combined.
Not be held, to be combined in one meeting on May 27th,
Right,
which will be the only meeting in May.
right. And so, no, it won't be.
May
Second
6th.
meeting.
That's right, excuse me.
No, it won't be. We have a 6th. Okay, so
Qualified as a-
can I have a second on that?
Second.
All those in favor? That's done. And we'll do the CPTPC. TPC at Sawgrass, that's what it is. Some other time, since you don't have your notes. Any other issues or questions?
I just want to let everybody know that Carl and I went to the American Planning Association Massachusetts chapter for negotiating for planners. We went to that on Saturday. It was a 6-hour course.
Where was it? Is it in Worcester? Or was it here?
No. It was at the MIT campus.
Oh, right.
Should I pass these down? I think
So was that,
It was good.
it was good?
It was good, yeah. Boiling it down to from 6 hours, I can't do that obviously in a second or so. But there's nothing wrong with keeping your mouth shut. That's what I came away with.
No, that's true.
John, I was looking at this update here. This is just master plan update. Would it be an idea to include in there some sort of a date by which, if people are interested, they should submit their names?
Good idea.
Good idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think?
When does it all depends on when it goes out. We'll I would give them 2 to 3 weeks, right? We don't know when it's gonna go out. We're up to Brian. Do you get the impression he would just send this out right away?
Yeah, I think he would, I don't think.
So if he gets it Monday, he does it on Tuesday, give him until May 10th. Is that, everybody? Gives them 14 days?
As soon as possible, but no later than May 10th.
Yeah.
There's a May 7th meeting here, I think to run by the finance committee to answer questions
Right.
on the 3 projects. So there may be some people here that you could ask. And what would be really nice is if you could get sort of people from different neighborhoods.
Oh, I know, we definitely want that.
We want
That's a
that.
good.
We're
point,
also
though.
gonna reach out to some folks on Plum Island. Have we done that?
Chance to do that.
But that may
Notice I
be
said,
another
have we done
audience.
that?
I have.
To which.
Wait a second, we talking the, oh, no, I'm sorry. Forget it, scratch it. I did reach out, but for
But still.
something else.
Okay, any other comments or thoughts? Except for this is a world record,
No.
Yeah.
isn't it?
Not quite.
Not quite?
One I had was shorter.
Oh, right, well, because I wasn't
George has
here.
beat.
Okay, so my call for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're done. Thank you, everybody.
I'm going to date stamp these, and I'll give you each a copy of the special permit.
Okay.
Okay, good.